I bet you guys are finally glad to see me back at it again. I know that I have been not really procrastinating, but in a sense procrastinating getting this video out. Every time I turn around this last 2 weeks, something has been happening. So I've made some resolutions, and I'm going to be adjusting my schedule so we can stay back on track with our regular scheduled videos. You guys will be very happy to know that we're going to proceed with the next step in building our journal here. So I went and cleaned the neighbor's yard the other day, and she had some Mexican bird of paradise. It's a very beautiful desert plant, and it was blooming some beautiful orange blooms. I think I posted it. I don't think I did. Maybe I did not. But the next time I see one, I'll try and take a photo of it and stick it in my Instagram storyboard. Something along those lines so you guys can know if you don't know what it is. Or just Google search Mexican bird of paradise. Poor Lexi. What's wrong? So just for you guys, you know, I'm hot, I'm sweaty. I just came back from the parents' house, working my booty off. And I came back early so I could get this video in like I kept promising I was going to do. So let's get started. So I was talking about the Mexican bird of paradise, and this is what we used to eco dye the paper. So if you guys would like to have an eco dye video, I can go ahead and do that. It obviously, that video won't be at the desk. It will have to be in the kitchen. So just let me know what you guys think. I actually recently I was at this wonderful Asian store, and they had a beautiful ginormous pan. Listen to that crinkly goodness. So they had this beautiful ginormous pan that was like $30, and it wasn't like a tall huge cooking pan, but it was just the right size for boiling paper. So I went ahead and I got it, and for the first time I used it with these Mexican bird of paradise flowers and pieces, and it came out beautiful. So all right, so here is our guide we're going to be using, and I'm probably going to cut out quite a bit right here with me folding these pages, but these pages we're going to take and fold in half, and I'll kind of explain it to you right now. I figured I'd start folding while I was chit-chatting with you, because if you couldn't tell, I have a lot of amazing crinkly goodness here to go ahead and crop for you guys and get going. So I'm going to set the book off to the side here, and we are going to need an awl, a pair of scissors. Behind me is my string drawer directly behind me, so any of my string that I'm going to be using to bind this. Oh my, I actually just remembered I put some in coffee the other day, and I totally forgot to pull it out and dry it. Okay, so apparently this string that my wonderful Aunt Trudy got me, I love this stuff, very heavy-duty corrugated type thread, but it's really smooth, so it's great for binding journals. I tried coffee staining it, because, you know, wouldn't that be a perfect match? And because it's such a good quality thread, it didn't really hang on to the coffee. So I am, oh, my bad, I'm sorry, I'm over here beating you guys up. I'm actually just going to remeasure with what's dry, and I'm going to go ahead and ink it with my Ranger ink, because we all know that that is permanent. So when we ink it with that, it won't go anywhere, and it'll give it a lot more texture. So so we got our string and our skizzers. And if you have not watched the previous videos yet, go back and make your guide, please. At this point in time, you will definitely need this piece. Without it, you cannot continue. I love, this is my new one. So I got a cheaper one, and actually that's what I used to cut up these last night to do pre-cuts. This is the new one, and I'm completely in love with it. It's heavy duty and works on a lot of my cardboard recycled type projects. So if you guys want to see how well this one works, I have showed off the other one as well. So our papers are going to be 9 inches by 7 1/4 inches. So we're going to put, since this is over 11.5 inches and this is 8.5, we're going to do it 9 this way by 7 1/4 this way. So let's go ahead, and I try and keep the pattern, like I like this part of the pattern, so I'm just gonna whack off around it. If you want to save the paper trimmings, that is great, but some of the paper trimmings that come from this end up being too small for my taste with as much as I work with. Okay, so the one compliment I do have to say about this trimmer is with the other one, halfway through the board, if you decide you want to lift up your blade, you can. Whereas this one's kind of mounted in place, so you have to complete your cut or go back a little bit on your cut. I think that's, compared to the other one, that's the only real downside. Other than that, I do have to say, so now this is 9 inches. I hope you can see that's 9 inches right there. But compared to the other one, this one does cut a lot smoother and is very, very nice. But I like the other one because it's a bit more functional. Okay, so we're just going to trim off these nasty edges here. Keep it a close cut. Now we need 7 1/4. Now at 7 1/4, let's see if we're going to be, no, we're going to be right on the edge right there. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I'm not going to come back over here and trim off a little. There we are. So there we have it. That is how big our paper needs to be for my specific project. Now, to know how big you want your paper to be, so it depends. Do you want it sticking out the edge of your book a little bit? Do you want it receding in? There's a couple of different ways to really do it. And give me a second while I grab one of my, or a couple of my other journals. So you'll notice here I have a pile of journals. I want to give you a few examples. So like on this one, you'll see right here that your pages recede in a little bit, but on the edges they have a nice raw kind of, they're sticking out. And if you want it like this, you're gonna have to measure to have it like this. Or, oops, I'm breaking everything today. Okay, so you could also have it like this, where see it's an exact measurement to your inside page, and then when you open it up it drops down in even deeper and you have no overhang on the side of your book. You can do it like that. Let's see what else we can break, right? Or you can do it like this one, and I actually am favorable to this a little bit because I think it looks kind of rugged and neat. You can have it overhang up the top quite a bit and have it like jig-jag all around, and even the bottom too. I did this with one of my purple journals. It's actually sitting on the shelf. I should have grabbed that one, but yet on the edge right here, it's kind of more smooth, so when you tie this closed, your pages aren't getting bent by the tie. And then of course you have this last one where it is exact 100%, well, not 100%, there's a little bit of an overhang there, but like on the other edge you can tell that it dips in a little bit, so it was off by like a centimeter, but these pages are measured to nearly exactly the same size as your cover. So there's a couple of different ways obviously you can do it. I'm gonna set these back over here. Now put them away when we're finished filming. So, and the kids are snoozing on the excess fabric. So I got these big, huge, pretty white curtains sitting in front of me, and they drag across the floor. So I got Fluffy sleeping on the curtains, and then I got Lexi sleeping in the doggy basket. So what we did with this one is this book plate, the natural book plate that came with the book. I went ahead and I took my ruler, and this is just a quilter's ruler. You can get this in the quilting ruler section at any local craft store. This one is 12.5 inches by 3.5 inches. I love it. I use it for everything. I have talked about using them before. This one's Omni Grip. I can't remember what brand my other one was. Not sponsored, promise. Nothing is sponsored in this video. I can't remember the name of the brand of the other one, but I know I can't find it. It's an older one. I think it belonged to my grandmother at some point. But I've used that one into the ground and I'm still using it. So we're going to go ahead and measure, and it's 7 and a, let's see here. It's not even 7 1/4 inch. It's 7 and an eighth. I think that's an eighth of an inch. And then, which means my pages are going to be a little bit bigger because I think I measured it to 7 1/4. And then it's 4.5 inches across. So that's how I got this measurement. Oh wait, yeah. So that's how I got this as a measurement, is I times 4.5 by 2, and then I, of course, left the 7 1/8 inches the same. I think I made it 7 1/4. That way it'll, when I do the book plate, it'll kind of cover up the edges. So yeah, it's just about the right size. You can tell by setting it in there. It's going to be a little bit bigger, which works out great because when you install your book plate and you account for the crinkle in the paper that kind of shrinks it up, it'll work out perfect. So measure your book plate, keep this measurement the same, times this measurement by 2. That's the size you want your paper for your pages. If you want them to have a little bit of overhang, usually about 1/4 inch will do to give you that overhang on any side. And if you have like a larger book, you can do 1/4 to 1.5 to 1/2 inch. So it'd be 1/4 inch between 1.25 or 1/2 inch. Any of those 3 measurements would be acceptable to give you the right overhang, or do it exact and have your wonderful dip be perfect. So I have 2 more papers to cut, and it's going to be 7 1/4. And remember, I'm looking for this pattern in the paper too, so I want to keep a hold of the pattern. By 9, so that's 7 1/4 by 9. Sorry, 9. And if you're using the other cut board, I prefer, well, for the crinkly stuff like this, I cut them one at a time. If they were not as crinkly, I would cut them in a stack. And this cut board is not as efficient when cutting in stacks. I've definitely noticed. So you'll want to use the other one, especially on cardboard. If you're cutting more than one piece of cardboard, you'll want to do it on the other one. It'll take a couple more swipes than normal. There we are. Ooh, and look at those beautiful patterns. Hope you can see them. I know I can. Let's see here. They're just magnificent. I love them. All right, one more paper and we will I will start folding these. And I mean, you can save this for your journal if you want. I'm not a big fan of the uckies, so I'm gonna go ahead and whack them off. Whack it off. Oh, I accidentally set a paper on my wet string over here. My bad. Another thing I've kind of noticed is when you're halfway through, you can lift it up and it'll notch in place, but it's a little bit more difficult to set down when you do it that way. So just be aware. Whack off the uckies. I don't know why I did that. Alright, let's do 7 1/4. And after you measure enough with these boards, especially when you're working on a set project, you'll kind of get the number you're working with stuck in your head for said projects. Especially after you do it for a while. When you first start, I'll forget the numbers. I'm terrible. But once I get set in the motion, they kind of stick with me. Okay, so we are done with our wonderful, ginormous cutting board here. Move some of our goodies out of the way. All right. Now I'm going to fold all of these papers. Okay guys, so as you've seen, I just got done cutting up everything, woohoo, and folding everything. So I hope it was just as easy for you if it was for me. If you got to fold all these by hand, then I know how you feel, because when I first started, I did not have a folding board. If you've seen, I was using the ruler when I first started. It is a good little cheating counterpart if you do not have a folding board, at least to kind of get you started. So now we have our guide here. We have our awl. So we're going to need our straight needle. For those of you that don't have a leather awl like this, it comes with 2 needles, a curved one and a straight one. I haven't really used the curved one too much, but I have found that it is nice to have, because every once in a while you do find yourself needing it. I love this awl. I can punch through cardboard, chipboard, along with a bunch of random other things. If you don't have a crocodile, this thing works really good in its place. Of course, you have to have a little bit of hand strength, especially if you have the smaller crocodile like this one and you want to chomp in the middle, like smack in the middle of a project. This one obviously won't reach that far. This awl has got you. It's got you covered. Kind of like this. So we are just going to go ahead. Oh, you know what? I don't know why I didn't think of this, and I always seem to forget. Let's see here. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm really good at punching through these things, and I just redid my desk, as most of my lovely ladies know. So we're not gonna punch holes in our desk. Our lovely cheat sheet, which most of you should know about, is a lovely phone book. We're gonna take a cheap dollar store cutting board and we're gonna set it underneath our phone book. Isn't that lovely? Now you won't poke holes in your desktop or your countertop. But we are actually not going to use it for this section. I mean, you can keep it under there, it won't hurt anything. Now we're just going at each spot where these lines intersect here. Each of these little lines is going to be a spot where you punch a hole, because this is your guide. That's where each of your stitches are going to go through. We're going to be stitching this way, but I found it's easier to punch the holes this way. So let's get started. There we go. You can stand up for this. I've been standing all day. I've decided I want to sit down and relax a little bit. I know it's terrible when I get to work. I'm going to sit down for 8 hours. I do try to get up and get a short burst type of exercise in halfway through shift. Really helps get me awake and back going again. And you know, it's just all around good for you. So how's everybody doing on this wonderful Friday? Any plans for the summer? My boo messaged me the other day and told me, hey, let's go to Disneyland around my birthday. So, well, it was kind of silly. He's so cute, because he was like, oh, I got plans for these days, so take them off work. I'm like, okay, why? Let's just take them off work. I'm like, are we going somewhere? And of course, you know me, I finally started guessing all these guesses, and he sent me the emojis, the little cartoon dudes on your phone that you can talk with. And, you know, he sent me little ones of everything that was going on, and I was like, Disney princess, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, he's like, well, you're really good at planning, so I might as well just tell you. I'm like, oh, great. I said, that's okay. I know I'm good at planning too. He's like, all right, well, I want us to go to Disneyland and to California. I'm like, what? Because the last time I went to California was for my senior trip, but I've never been to Disneyland, and I am nearly 30 years old. I will be 30 this October. I've never even seen the ocean. So we sat and we talked about it. I convinced him to stay another day. I think he finally messaged me back, because some of his coworkers may have been like, hey, yeah, no, you should listen to her and stay another day, because I'd never been to the beach either. So we're gonna go down to the beach and spend the day on the boardwalk and maybe get lunch. And so this was my first official out-of-state trip since my senior trip. I mean, not counting going to Colorado for my sister's wedding. That was fantabulous, and I was so amazed and excited that I was able to do that. That was just a blessing. But anyway, so this one is kind of a blessing too, because for the first time ever, I'm able to float the bill in cash. And this whole Dave Ramsey journey, pay off your debt stuff. I mean, I honestly probably shouldn't be going on the vacation because I'm still paying off my debt. Dave Ramsey be like, shame on you, shame on you. But I've been really, really working hard. And he told me, he said, hey, my other half, he's like, hey, let's go. And he wants to pay for most of it in cash too. So I figure, you know, I've been working really hard, and I've been trying to make all you lovely ladies happy, and you guys are pretty much the reason why I'm going on this trip. So if it weren't for you guys and all of your wonderful love and, you know, buying my wonderful art and taking a piece of my soul with you, I would not have come as far as I have today. I'm very honored and blessed by every single one of you. So it is really fun to be able to share my art, how I create it, and as a sort of thank you, and let you know that the products you guys are receiving are really well made as well. I do kind of like putting these videos up for that very reason, so you know they're very well made. Now, sitting down to do a video day is like pulling teeth. But once I finally sit down and do it, it's kind of like dyeing paper. I like dyeing paper. I don't mind dyeing paper. It's just pulling me down to the table to sit down and do it, because I got my head popping off my head and spinning around in circles of all the other stuff I need to get done. So, okay. Our guide is ready to go. And now all of your stitches will be lined up perfect inside of your text block. So that is actually what this is going to be called. So now what we're going to do is we're going to open this bad boy up. And this is kind of what this is for, is to protect our tabletop while we're lining up all of these and getting their holes punched. So we have one, we got to count crosswise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines account for 7 stitches and 7 signatures. So, and the way I did the math here is I have 3 papers per signature. So 1, 2, 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these before we get too far into this. We're going to, let me dig one up here. We're going to need that too. Let's see here. I'm terrible. Should grab these things on Lex before I start. Silly girl. Okay. So this is kind of how I like to do it. I'll just lay down my paper here, line it up with one of the lines, get myself a marker, and just mark it. And make sure it's lined up with the top of your fabric up here too. As long as you know that that's going to center it. Make sure it's centered really nice. There we are. And now we kind of have a guide. Usually if I'm making multiples, I'll take a standardized piece of paper, whack it down to the size I need, and then I will do this same step. I will scotch tape it, punch these holes with my awl, and use it as a guide. So what we're going to do before we start stacking up all of these is, I found about 10 sheets of paper is the limit that I can do. Don't try and overdo yourself on these. You don't want to have your paper come out terrible because you just didn't have enough oomph, or you had to fight with it and it tore some of your pages. Do whatever it is that you're comfortable with. Alright, now we're going to lay our guide, line them all up. And just pop our holes. I do not have one of those guide. I've seen them on social media and stuff. It's like this metal ruler type deal with a gap in between them. I actually have no idea where to find that. I probably have to find it online. But I found that this way is a pretty good way, especially when I'm not doing any fancy stitching. A lot of my stitching I keep covered. So it works. I mean, this is just perfect for it. And you see this tear right here that I accidentally did. I'm sure you guys caught that in my fast forward video. Washi. And I do have some secrets on binding pages too. I am going to put out a little video hopefully here soon on that one as well. A small tutorial. I'm not going to make any promises as to when it's going to come out. I'm just going to let you guys know that I am going to do one. Just if you do hear about it and you really love the idea and want to know how, just drop it in the comments and don't let me forget about it. I do get really busy, and I will get that video out to whoever really wants to see it. Okay, now see what I mean by now we have a guide. This page does have a little bit of marker on it, so what I'll do is I will bury it in with the rest of the pages, or I'll pick like a really thick thread that will hide what little marker you can see. Like the markers right there, the thread will usually cover it up really good. Oh my, this is going by super fast. Here I thought that it would be really slow. I keep forgetting I get more and more efficient at this by the day. If you guys love journals, you'll understand, especially if you make them a lot. You get more efficient as you go in making them. There we are. All of our holes are punched. Close our book. No holes in our desktop. Woohoo! Okay. So wonderful. Definitely get yourself one of these. Really helps out. It's sad because that's not a spare. I actually cut my veggies on that one. Okay. So I know it's terrible. We have I used to use my awl needle. I actually grew out of that stage. I would have found that sewing needles work better, and I don't feel like I want to rip the journal in half by the time I'm done because it keeps getting stuck, and then the thread gets stuck in the hole, and then, you know, the thread starts fraying. Just trust me on this. Use the awl and then go down a gauge size in your needle. I personally have discovered it works a lot better. I have no idea where this string came from, but I want to use it more than I want to use that white string. And let's see if there's enough. It's a a really good quality string too, so I like it. Well, we already have our knot, so let's roll with it. Why don't we? Okay, so we have 7 signatures. I usually go with 9 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's not very much left, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it on there. It won't hurt anything. We can always cut it off and use it for tags. Am I right? Okay. Now, in this stage, I'm going to probably stand up and try and do some angle changes for you guys so you can actually see what's going on here. So, I don't think I'm going to do angle changes, but I do think I'm going to stand up for you. So, we have all of our pages here. Remember, each signature is going to be 3 sheets of paper. So, we're going to put it in this first hole here, just like this. And remember, we have a knot tied on the end of our string. Alright, go ahead and pull it through. And if you get a little bit smaller needle, you won't have as heavy as a pull on that one. I did have a little bit of a tug. So, another thing I love to use when your hands start getting sore, because I know after I work on my 2nd or 3rd journal, I have to get a pair of these out. I think they're bicep tweezers, tricep tweezers. They're the medical gauze tweezers. And you just put them on your needle, lock them into place, and go ahead and pull it through. I'll give you guys some demonstrations right now. So, when I first start, you aren't never really sure how aligned your holes are from the top to bottom, and without the ruler that I was talking about earlier, you can be off from 1 centimeter to 3 centimeters, and some of you have seen on my other books that I've showed you here, this red one for instance, that this one signature is popping up, 2 signatures are popping up, and that can make all the difference. It will happen. Like on this side you can't even really tell as much as you can the other side, but if you line up all of your paper and keep your holes punched in the right direction as you're punching, and you keep track of your tail while you're stitching, usually you can avoid that. So what I like to do is I start and I keep the tail always at the bottom, and I either pick, is it going to be on the right or the left? I usually try and keep my tail on the right. That way I can keep track of it. Oh, Boo messaged me. I love you, Boo, but I'm going to finish this video. Alright, so we need 3 papers, 1, 2, 3. And this one is our guide, so I wanted to kind of vary that one. So we'll set this to the side. I'm going to make sure that that makes it into the middle of the book. So we are going to come up from the bottom here, from like this, and go ahead and pull our string on through, and you're going to see here that it is going to meet directly up with our guide here. So you can see here, there's our string, there's our tail on the back. It's made it all the way through. We're going to do the same thing here. Make sure you hit this first hole. I've done it before where I've gone through the wrong one, especially if like I'm sitting and watching TV. You can always end up in the wrong spot and have to back stitch and take it out. And if you're having a hard time pulling your thread through the holes, that can be a really big pain in the patootie. So come back up. We're going to drop down in this first signature. and make sure and come back up through the top. Now when you come up through the top, this is the perfect time to go ahead and snap on your, get a good grip and pull it on through. And you can see here. And if you have lace on your pages or any sewing going on, you're gonna have to watch out for your stitch work, any of your lace. Make sure that, you know, it doesn't get caught on it. And if you have a hard time pushing it through, you can go ahead and use your thing, go ahead and place it through. Keep an eye on your position where you need to be on your guide and go ahead and push down. I usually like to push flush with my tweezers, pliers here. Go ahead and grab on the back side. Go ahead and wrap your hand around and use your thumb to push just like this, and then pull your string on through. So really simple. It's really easy to pull through, so I'm not going to continue using the tweezers or the pliers, whatever you want to call them. There you go. I'm going to continue on and speed it up a little bit. And of course I'll slow down when we get to the top. Okay, so now we're at the top. Ooh, and this one is an offset journal. Perfect. So usually I would go, usually depending on the stitches and the holes. So if it's an even set of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you'd end up with 6 stitches here, and on the back side you would flip and just jump over to the next hole and then go back down. But because we do not have that opportunity here, we have odd 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes. So what I like to do when we have odd numbers is it adds character. So I will come down and around and stitch it like this, and I will do that on this side too with this tail. That's why I try to leave a little extra long tail so I can go back in and tie it off and secure the journal. But if this happens, I can back stitch and make it look unison. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to the back and fold this down. Be sure and hold your string. It's not too tight, but it's just the right, has the right tension. And go ahead and you stick your needle under right here. And now we're going to pull our thread just like this. Don't worry about our tail. So you see how it's coming through right here, and how now it's under. So what we did was we went ahead and stuck our needle right here and pulled it through. So let's go ahead and pull that tight, but again, remember, not too tight, because we don't want to make this bow. See, if you pull too tight, it's gonna bow like that. We don't want that, so we're just gonna hold it in place at the perfect. Now we're gonna go ahead and pull, overlap the top, and now this is kind of simulating to where the stitch actually came from this hole. If it were an even count, it would come out of this hole and drop back down into the new signature area. There we are. So now we are starting a new signature. Remember, keep our tail at the bottom. There we go. Now we're going to pick 3, 1, 2, 3. And we know our tail's at the bottom, so these all are going to line up. Start at the top. And there it comes through right there. We're going to go ahead and pull it down. Oh, it got wrapped up. So hopefully you can see it interlock into place right there. There we go. Now because we have this loop going on here, we want to do the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and loop around the top. If you have an even set of numbers, just go ahead and go down to your next hole. If you have an odd set of numbers, just go ahead and wrap it around. Hold this so it's evenly positioned with the other one. You can see right there. Okay. Now we're going to drop back down through this spot. See, this is good that we had that little bit of extra string because we kind of needed it, especially with the odd count. All right. And again, don't be too, vicious with it. Just kind of be delicate. All right, now we're gonna drop down to the next hole as if, for instance, this does not exist. Skip this step that we just did if you have an even count of your punches here. And you're just going to go directly down. And keep an eye. Make sure you make it into the right spot. See, this is where you were. This is where you are now. Go ahead and go straight in. There we go. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this 2 o'clock light just ain't cutting it. Of course, it's bright to me, so I don't feel like I can see the phone really good. Yeah, to me, that extra light did a wondrous job. So, all right, now we're going to come back up from the bottom. Make sure we're in the right spot everywhere across the board. And go ahead and come on through. Back down. Fold our paper back. Make sure we're going into the right spot. And come out the back. Be careful because your excess string likes to get caught on things like the corner of your desk. Okay. And now I'm terrible. I started out really quiet and now I'm like lively and ready to conquer the world. I think part of it's because I'm hungry. I'm hoping this video ain't excessively long. There we are. We're going to go up. Make sure we make it into the right spot and out. All right. Now, if you have an even set of stitches, you can skip this step. If it's odd, then you need to do this step. All right. So remember, we're going to go over the back, hold it tight, and we're just going to go under this right here, away from the signature that we're coming into. Just like this. All right. Now we're going to pull our stitch over and drop down into our next signature. Move this one to the side on the bottom and then push our needle through. I'll show you that step. Obviously, I won't be pushing the needle through, but this is what you'll, in essence, be doing, is you'll be holding with this hand on the flip side. You'll use your pinky to move these out of the way, and then you'll be able to push your needle through. Makes sense? If you are not that coordinated, then you can obviously, flip it over so you can see it, move them out of the way, and put your needle through. Obviously, that takes practice. But be sure and move that paper out of the way before you go to Stabby Town. You don't want holes in your previous signature when you're trying to line up your next one. If you catch my drift. Okay, let's go ahead and Put our needle right on in there. It should slide right into place. There we have it. Okay, so we are going to flip her over. All right, line our lady up. Make sure she's even with the other signatures. And go ahead and drop right on back through. Remember, skip this step if you have even holes. If you have odd holes, this is where you want to be. All right. Now, this is where you're going to be if you have even holes. You're just going to go ahead and drop down. Hold down your signature and continue on into your next lineup of holes. There we are. And the same thing here. Just go ahead and see it and align your paper and push your needle right on through. We're going to move our awl out of the way here. There we are. Make sure it's in the right position. There we have it. And do the same thing. Come back up. Make sure everything is lined up. And see right here, it's not lining up. So we have to go in. Make sure that everything lines right up. There we go. I'm really liking how this looks, especially with that yellow. It just adds that extra flair. Yeah. Okay, bend this back. Make sure it goes in the right spot. Push her through. If you guys need me to slow down, please just, go back to the beginning of the video. I was obviously a little bit slower in the beginning. I don't know if YouTube has a slow-mo feature. It'd be nice if they did, huh? For tutorials like this. I'm just going to go ahead and set my awl back there. Okay, see what I mean by likes to get caught on things? I had to get caught down here. It does happen. Okay. So again, we're going to skip this step if you have even holes. You can do it if you really like the way it looks. It won't hurt anything. Alright, so remember, we're going the opposite way of the next signature. You can go in the same direction, but I've found that it's not as secure. This way, it gives it a little bit more security in the stitch. Push that out of the way. And go ahead and push it on through to start your next signature. Alrighty, tail here. Go ahead and pull your tail to the bottom. I kind of do this like every single time to kind of give me a little, hey, remember to pull the tail to the bottom type deal. Okay, so we're gonna take this one with the colors going on. I want to flip it this way because this one's going this way. So, yeah. Oh, maybe not. Okay. All lined up. We got our needle coming out the top. So we're going to go ahead and push our needle through the top. There we are. Oh no, I should probably check to see what time it is, huh guys? I have a little bit of time. I'm definitely not going to be able to tie up the finishing video today, but I have stuff to do around the house tomorrow, so the other half will be here. All right, so remember, we're just going to pull our string, make sure that all of our signatures are lined up. or you can have them wiggy woggy, wobbly, you know, a little inebriated if you like. Okay, don't pull it too tight. We're going to drop it back down the same hole we came through earlier. Here we are. I made an odd stitch journal one day, and I was fretting on how in the world I was going to get all of my stitches to line up, because there was no way that I was going to waste all that paper. And then this little loop-de-loop idea popped in my head, and I actually really like it. I think it adds a little bit of cool texturing to the edges of the journal. So there we are. All right, drop down, come up, make sure everything's aligned. There's our needle. Drop it back down. Yep. There we are. I like this basic up-down motion. It makes everything so simple. I'm trying to move the fabric out of the way so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. Because if I can see, that doesn't mean you guys can see. So I'm not officially... I should be, huh? See, right there, I went into the wrong spot. See, wrong spot. Let's get our booty back in the right spot. Okay, there we are. That's the right spot. I am probably going to completely forget what I have to say in half of this video. But I know I was talking earlier about what everybody else's summer plans are. And then, well, those aren't, the Disney thing isn't my official summer plans. That's actually more or less my fall plans. The other half, I'm really excited for him because he's going back to school. So he is going to be juggling a lot this fall. He helps me out a lot with the business, and I'm very blessed with that. But at the same time, he decided he wanted to go back and get his master's. So I'm so proud of him for wanting to do that, and so it's gonna get crazy. Ooh, I love the texturing. Isn't that gorgeous, guys? I hope you can see it. Oh yeah. So it's gonna get even more crazy than it is now, especially with his schoolwork going on and managing both of our schedules, because we have different work schedules. So sometimes it can get a little bit frustrating, but we're keeping it going. We're trucking. Okay, hold everything into place and just pull it on through. Don't want to pull too tight though, remember? Okay. Alright. So I've actually debated on going back to school for cinematography and digital design. I've always thought cinema photography, ever since I seen Snow White and the Huntsman, I always found an interest in cinema photography. But I also, since I was in high school, I've loved photography, and if anyone follows my personal accounts, I know I got a couple of you on there. I only let a select few people on there, so unless I really get to know you, you probably won't get added, and I'm very sorry. I have my reasons, but some of my photography is on there. Now, you guys will hopefully pretty soon start to see some of it on Little Miss Daisy or you'll see some of it in other places, and hopefully I will start featuring it and people can get a hold of it if they like. I was really, really excited to get accepted by iStock for my photography. So I really need to get the ball rolling on that one. I actually took some really beautiful photos the other day, or today I mean, one with a beautiful Bumble, Mr. Bumblebee, and I will actually probably be posting that on Little Miss Daisy in the stories tonight, so you'll be able to find it. So unless you're actually officially paying attention to my videos, you guys won't know about him. And then you'll be able to get a first look-see at how cute Mr. Bumble is, Mr. Bumblebee. And some of my other beautiful photography that I was super ecstatic the other day, actually, because I posted something and I got a like from the Daily Star. So that's a pretty big newspaper in our state, the Arizona Daily Star. So it kind of made my day, not gonna lie. I still need to edit that photo without a watermark, because all the ones that I posted have watermarks, so no one, runs off with my work. And so I can send that one to iStock. Gotta make some dinner money. Actually, I gotta go grocery shopping. Probably do that this weekend. See what happens when I start rambling off in my little world, and y'all distract me, and I can't get the needle to function properly. It happens to the best of us, I promise. It won't go in. Just not doing it. Mwahaha. I did it. I did it. See, we all have our moments, our little moments of non-clarity. I don't want to function right now, so I'm just going to give you a hard time. Yeah. If you couldn't tell, I am a little bit excited, though. I've been doing photography for years. I love it. And being able to finally upgrade to a new phone that accommodates a lot of these interests has really made it like that much better, because now I carry it with me all the time. I don't have to come home, break out the camera bag, get out the flash, adjust all the little doodads on my camera to get the perfect photo. Now I can just pull out my phone, do the adjustments directly on my phone. Now, whether or not the subject will sit still long enough sometimes so I can make the adjustments is another thing entirely. But, I do think I want to get, because I have this tripod right now that I use with you guys. And, this tripod is wonderful, but it's not very portable. So I think I want to get a little bit more of a portable tripod that I could kind of fit in my purse. Would be, oops, see, look at that. You guys get me going, and instead of doing a under wrap, I do a complete stitch through. All right. Okay, so if you do this, just go ahead and put your needle back in the hole and back stitch. See, pops right out. But it's stuck in the thread from the bottom. That's perfectly fine. You can still just go ahead and back stitch. And see how it just makes that wibble wobble? Just go ahead and back stitch one more time to give it that security going on there. And it will tighten up this stitch here. So, If you all make a mistake like I just did. I mean, it's not really a mistake, but it's a mistake. Don't lie. And I probably just did that off camera. Okay, so let's do this again. I'm on back stitch. So back stitch one more time. So I want to pull it through the hole because I had to drop the needle back down through the hole because I was talking, not paying attention, and wound up through the middle of my thread. So what we're going to do is we're going to go away from the current signature. We're going to stitch in next, and you know, obviously you can still see it's stitched through that. We're just going to drop down and go under there one more time. It's going to go ahead and tighten it up, and you can see it kind of tightening up this string here. And we're already holding this out of the way, so we're just going to drop through to our final signature. And see, there we are. So it's going to pull this up tight nicely. And keep in mind to, remember, pull your tail at the bottom. Keep in mind when you're stitching, don't pull so tight that your brain pops out and break the thread, but pull tight enough so your pages aren't falling off your fabric block here. All right, we're gonna add our last piece, and it just fell right into place like it should. Wrap your thread around. Remember, come back through on the first one, and on the last one, do not do like I do and come back through. Do as I say, not as I do. How many of us heard our mom say that? Do as I say, not as I do. But Mom, there we are. And see, we still got plenty of thread going on here. Just enough. Come back up. Make sure everything's lined up. The wonderful thing about this is once you do it long enough and you punch the holes just right, everything automatically lines up for you. And it is a beautiful thing. There we are. See, just like that. Lines up wonderfully. Drop back down. I think it's about 2:45 right now, so I will have 30 minutes to shower, breathe, pack the car, maybe pack something to eat, and head off to my little night job. Well, evening job. All right, so this is the last melon. Last melon. Okay. So we're going to come down in opposite direction. We're going to pull our string tight like it needs to. Now pay attention because I got to show you how to tie this off. So this is how our string's going to look. We are going to hold our string here. Usually I'd use my thumb, but I'm trying to show you. So I don't want everything to be in the way. Whew, excuse me, I hope you didn't hear that. Okay, we're going to push our needle up under right here. Kind of keep this tight while we're doing it. Now you can pull your string up this way a little bit to keep it tight. Now you're going to hold it with this finger like this. You're going to go through here again. And then you are going to drop back through this final stitch. I like to set my thumb on top of it as it tightens up and ties everything off. All right, that is wonderful. I hope you all enjoyed making this most amazingly chunky text block. If all of you are like I am and you figure it out past this stage, you don't have to watch the next video, although it would be greatly appreciated if you did. Okay, the last thing before I go that I love to do is I will just go ahead and weave my string in like this. And then we'll do one more here. And we'll drop back down this way. And one more time here. Someone's making funny grunty noises. Okay, so I just took my needle off of that strand. We are going to put it on this strand because we have to, which you should have done at the beginning and I didn't, backstitch this hole. And it would have been backstitched the same way that we started all of the others. There we are. Now we have our loop there. And because our thread is so short, it kind of popped off. So now we are going to weave this one through. Right there. And we are going to go ahead, tie that tight, hold our finger on it, because I like it to be nice and taut. Just like that. Now, if you guys would like to see that again, I pull it tight, I put my finger on it and push. There will be a little bit of give on your paper below, so it'll look like this when you're doing it. So it'll be strong enough to hold. And if it does that, just spread your paper and do it like this. But I like doing it like this so you guys can actually see. So hold, do a loop-de-loop. See, this way I like because you don't need a second or third hand, I should say. And go ahead, now that I got it all tangled up. Once you get it untangled and it looks like this, just go ahead and pull it tight. And it should slide right under your finger perfectly and tighten up real nice. So, that is our text block. I hope everyone enjoyed this wonderful, fun video. And look at that. Oh, and I just got another message from Boo, just in time for me to get off with you guys. So I hope you guys tune in next week. I will probably be filming it tomorrow for the finished product, and I am going to be adding a little bit of extra pizzazz to this wonderful journal. So please stay tuned and see how it looks when it is done. I am so glad to finally have brought this to you guys. I know it took me some time and I'm very sorry, but it's finally here. Okay, now we can go get ready for work.